Today's guest, DC Glenn, actor, musician, and half of the classic hip-hop duo Tag Team. Say it with me, everybody. Whoomp There It Is. Today on The Open Highway.
Hello, great minds! Mr. DGMH here, but wait, what the hell is DGMH? DGMH, or Drinks with Great Minds in History, is a weekly podcast that covers one of history's greatest minds each month, while we enjoy, review, and rate themed cocktails, liquors, and beers on the scale of greatness. As greats like Alexander Hamilton square off against George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and more, DGMH is the perfect cocktail of history, sarcasm, and alcohol, with a twist of psych and a bunch of shots along the way. So grab yourself a drink with some great minds in history. Cheers!
The Open Highway with Eric Erickson.
You're a positive cat, dude. You're just, I was poking around and reading some of your posts and everything, and you just have the most positive attitude about life and the way things go. Where does that come from?
It's the only thing I could do to not go crazy. You know, okay, so it's the only way to combat the bizarro world we live in.
You mean the real world or the entertainment world, or a little bit from A and a little bit from B?
Okay, so you might know about this, but Superman, they have the bizarro Superman, and it's the bizarro, the upside down kind of, right? And it's the only way I can deal with, because that's what we kind of live in these days. Everything is backwards. Everybody's fighting each other. You don't know what to believe. You don't know how to. I don't listen. I know what I want to do, and I just play offense, man. I play offense, and I just concentrate on, how shall I say? I just concentrate on me, man. No, man, the positivity comes from, that's the only way I know how to do things, right?
Yeah.
You can't, for me, I've acquired the ability to control my emotions, right? I've acquired the ability to take any negative emotion, hate, envy, lust, despair, and just don't react to it, but just put it in my pocket. And like 10 minutes later, it turns into positive energy, because everything negative can be turned to positive, and then, it serves you down the line, right? But when you react to it, that keeps you in that hole of despair. That keeps you in that hole of doubt. That keeps you in that hole of everything negative. So the key is not to react. You can let it tear you up inside, because we're human, right? But when you react to it viscerally, that's when you have problems. So when something negative happens, when somebody just keeps bitching at me about their problems, when somebody just gives me every excuse, I look at those as opportunities to come up with solutions.
Have you run into a lot of that in your life?
24/7.
24/7.
I mean, think about it. When, I have always been a hustler. I've always had 10, irons in the fire. And people have always told me that, when I was younger, I'm jack of all trades, master of none. But what I realized is that if you live long enough, hustle hard enough, and keep learning, I coined a phrase, learn how to learn. It's not enough just to learn. You got to learn how to learn. And play offense, you become masterful at all those trades. And later on, they end up serving you in ways that you could have never imagined. And, some people call it experience. Some people call it, that's how I see it. So, when I'm, people, communicate to me, and people give me problems, and people tell me why I can't do stuff and why it shouldn't be done and why they do the things they do and can't come up with a solution, but just the problems, I say thank you, because that's an opportunity for me to come up with the solutions. Then I put it in my toolbox to use for later. Then that toolbox tool shed. Then that tool shed becomes an Ace Hardware. And then that Ace Hardware becomes a Home Depot. And now I am ambidextrous in life because there is no challenge that I can't meet, right? It's the way you think about things.
Yeah.
If I thought about it the way everybody else thought about it, then I'd be stuck. But I don't. I come up with hustle tactics,
That's the problem. That's the problem, isn't it? It's the problem that people think that there's only one way to go about something. They don't think about it from the toolbox way of going at it.
And all I can do is just talk to people about the things I wish someone had talked about me, talked to me about when I was a young man. And I live for just giving it all away because I feel that that's my mission, because I have been blessed, but I've worked very hard to get where I'm at, right?
Yeah.
And all the things that have happened to me aren't luck. You know what I mean? When I get an opportunity, I'm trying to create 10 more off of one, right? And people are like, you can't do everything. My traditionalists, my coaches, people, when I just throw other things out there, they're like, well, it doesn't work that way. We can't do it like that. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I can't do everything. But I sure enough can be prepared for everything. Everybody's like, yeah, that makes sense. And I just shake my head because you just disagreed with the very thing I said, again, said differently, because preparation is doing everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
All I do is prepare for all the things that I want in life, right? So if I plant a seed, I don't sit there and look at the seed, be like, grow seed, grow. Oh, this seed don't work, I quit. No, I plant that seed and I keep it moving because I know what I want out of that seed. And if it comes back to hit me in the head, I'm prepared because I have thought long and hard about that seed. And while it's growing, I'm thinking about the moves that I'm going to make if that seed comes to fruition. And my life is littered with seeds that have grown and come back to harvest for me. 28 years ago, I planted a seed called Whoomp There It Is. And today it is a sequoia. And it's
Did that shock you? Did that shock you when the sequoia sprouted? The commercial and everything that's going on?
No,
or were you expecting it?
I worked for all of it. When you work for it and it happens, it's not a shock, right? And people say, how did you know that it was going to be that? I'm like, it's not about me knowing that it was going to be that big. It's about me putting in the work to get the most out of the opportunity that I have been blessed with, right? So because I'm an actor, it wasn't just me, okay, walking up on set like, okay, what we gonna do? It was like, ooh, there's an opportunity, you better prepare. And when they gave me the script, when they gave us everything, I prepared as an actor, and I said, I want to come up with about 10 things that I can give my ideas that I can imprint on this commercial to make it me, right? And that's what happened, because the spin and scoop comes from me, the sprinkles, all these things that I've concocted because I'm an actor and I prepared and I wrote out. I basically made pitches for it because the night before we had our fitting, and I went to the director and the producer. I got some ideas. They're like, anything you want to do, DC? I was like, well, I got the spin and scoop idea, but couldn't find anybody to fabricate. It's like, it'll be done tomorrow. I was like, oh, we're in a big time. And it was like, I know kids love sprinkles, so I got a couple sprinkle things I want to do. I want to do the salt-based sprinkle. I want to do, LeBron James chalk throw sprinkle. I want to do just all kind of sprinkle things. And told them the rest of the stuff I want to do, and we did all of it. They could have shot 5 Geico commercials with all the stuff that I had prepared, and with the professionalism of the other actors, because we're all from Atlanta, and this is what we do. And that is what makes, those are the nuances in that commercial that make it great. Plus, the icing on the cake is that tag team is tag team. Tag team is party people from day one. We have been rocking parties since the beginning of hip hop, because I've been a DJ forever, right? So when you're looking at that commercial, you're looking at a tag team party. You're looking at fun. You're looking at wholesomeness. You're looking at feel good. You're looking at joy.
Yeah.
And at that time, the world needed joy more than anything.
Well, that's for sure. How long did you shoot for? Did you shoot for one day?
Yeah, we shot for one day.
Just one day.
Yep. We got up at 8, shot from 9 o'clock all the way to 6. And they couldn't believe we kept the energy all day. And I was like, hey, dude, I DJ for 8 hours. Plus, I know, this is whatever we got to do to make this happen, we make this happen. And, everything that happened from this, there are so many circumstances in the past that led to this. Like, we can go back to 2011. And I get a call from a New York Times reporter. She's like, DC, have you seen the Gawker article? I'm like, what? Said, everybody, the world thinks Barack Obama is in your video. I was like, how did you even find me? She's like, it was very hard. And, then she gave all my numbers to everybody. Now the whole world is calling me, asking me if Barack Obama was in our music video. And it just took a frame and it looked just like a young Barack Obama, right? So I played it up for a whole week. We did all these interviews and had fun and all this press. And at the end of that week, I had nothing to show for it. And when those traumatic events happen, you asked me how I stay positive, right? Mm-hmm. Whenever traumatic events happen in my life, I vow that they will never happen again. So that's what started my SEO career, search engine optimization, the ability to get on the first page of Google, build websites, learn digital marketing, learn social media. Took me 10 years, right? And as I went along, back then you type in tag team, it was all wrestling. You type in tag team today, it's all tag team. So September 2020, I get a call from my acting agent, People Store in Atlanta. They're like, DC, you booked the Geico commercial. And I was like, man, don't play with me, Lena. Her name's Lena. I said, don't play with me, Lena. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Everybody all freaking out and scared. I haven't even auditioned for a Geico commercial. She's like, no, they wanted tag team. And I was like, whoa, forgot about that. And I went to my tag team phone and there it was, the phone call. And then they didn't wait for me to call them back. They went to my IMDb because I've made it easy for me to be found now. Mm-hmm. Went to my agent. So now we got synergy because my agent does this every day. My agency does this every day. Now I let them make the deal. No lawyers, no nothing, just my agents and Geico. And it is the most lucrative, biggest deal I've ever made in my life to this date. Bigger than Whoomp. And that goes to show you that all that hard work, all the sweat and tears and all the things that I've been through culminated in this moment in time.
Yeah.
And I tell people this all the time. It never, ever, ever, ever gets easier, right? But it does get better. And the only way it gets better is if you hustle, hard work, keep learning, and stay positive, right? And all of this is easier said than done. But what else you can do, right? And you just have to have that intestinal fortitude to keep moving, because I am just as lazy as the next person. But
it's a special feeling when they call you. I've had that too. When they call you, I did a movie last year and they called me and they're like, I didn't have to read for it or anything. And they just called and they said, you're perfect for this. And I'm like, great. There's something special about that. It's like you said, like the seeds do pay off.
And even then I started acting in 2017, right? And now half of my auditions come from casting, right? Mm-hmm. Like I put in the work, right? I was in class every single day. I was doing intensives on the weekends. I was going to workshops. I was doing everything I could do to learn about acting as fast as I could, because I knew I had to do that. And I wanted to be, most people say you're starting too late, but not in Atlanta. Atlanta's the new Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So in Atlanta, this beard gets me booked. So now I'm like, you got to get up to speed. And I started booking maybe 4 months in. The only reason I became an actor is because I do voiceover. And I was in the office and the owner of the People Store came in and was like, we finally met. And she was like, I love your face. Put him on camera. I was like, what's that mean? And it was like, you an actor now, dude. I was like, what I got to do? Take some headshots, fill out your portals, and go to class. And Like I said, I booked my first commercial after 4 months and just kept booking after that. And then what was it? I think it was January of 2020. I booked my first national Pizza Hut commercial for March Madness, but then COVID hit, right? I didn't care that I lost that SAG national money, right? I all I cared about is that I booked. Out of all the people that I went up against, I booked. And then all of a sudden I shot my first movie, My Corona, with a documentary. So now I do a movie and a documentary. Then I did another movie in the summer of 2020, The Mediator. Then I did a Tyler Perry House of Pain episode. Then I've been doing a lot of voiceover because back in that time, everything was, it's all about COVID, right? We're all in this together. That was the voice. Yep, and that was me, right? And then here comes Geico, right? And I've been just booking because I put in the work. And you have to put in the work. First, you gotta find out the hierarchy, right? You gotta find out how things work. You got to find out, like with acting, I have to find out, how does it work from top to bottom? Well, you have the producer hires the director, then the producer and the director hire the casting agents, and then you get the casting agents, they'll send out and breakdowns all of the parts that they want, and then they'll sift through all your agent submits for things that they think you're good for, and then the casting directors will go in and they'll look at all the pictures, and then they'll say, we'll take these 50 to audition. Then you audition, then they whittle it down to 4 or 5, and then you might get a call back, and then you book.
Did that surprise you? Did that, like, once you learned the mechanic, because a lot of people see the acting world and film and television commercials, and they don't understand all the parts of it. And then once you finally see it, how many times have you heard, you should be in this movie. Why aren't you in this film? Well, it doesn't work that way. You don't just knock on the door and be like, I'd like to be on your show.
But I do that with everything, right? And when I found out, now I can attack it from the sides, right? Now I can impose my will through SEO. Now I can make sure all my portals are filled out perfectly. Make sure my headshots are perfect. Give them the characters they want, right? Give them the picture that when they see it, he looks like he could play the part, because that's all it is. So it's about your picture. And then later on, it gets about your reel, but you can't do your reel if you don't have any credits or anything. You can't, you can, but it means something, because if you're neck and neck with another actor and you got a nice reel and they feel that they can trust you, then you're going to get the job. But for me, I have been lucky enough to get feedback from every job that I've booked from the director and the producer. And they're like, yeah, you were picked from like 1,000 dudes. Like, and you stood out. I was like, really? How do you stand? But I realized how I stood out because it was actually a mistake I made. I actually misread the script and made a different choice than everybody. And that is what got me that part. You just never know. That's why you just have to do every audition and just do the best you can. It don't matter. There's no right choice. There's no wrong choice, because you just never know. I've gotten 2 roles because I auditioned for one part and they were like, he's not good for that part, but he's good for that part. He don't even got to audition. Bring him in. Yeah. Boom. Right. Now I'm on Dynasty. My Dynasty episode came out this week. Right. I got 3 more episodes coming out this year. I got a movie coming out this year. Right. And now I'm going. Now I'm doing good. Now I love to audition anytime one comes in. And the reason I love to audition is because, like, I swear the pandemic is the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because it helped me rearrange. The other side is the other side, right? We all know that side, but the side that helped me was that every actor, all of us had to stop. And now we're all in a Serengeti together. What you gonna do, be predator or prey? And I chose to reinvent myself. And that's when I went back to all my lessons, because I record everything. I went back and just studied. And then, there's a site called We Audition, which is basically Zoom for actors. So if you need a reader, you can go to We Audition and you got readers. Now, it was kind of janky at first, but a little bit before the pandemic hit, it was like Zoom, everybody had to get their stuff together, because that was the way of the world.
Yeah.
Once they got their stuff together, now all acting is shut down except for Atlanta and places that I was getting auditions through the pandemic, so I needed readers. So now I'm dealing with people who just 2 months ago were on Broadway. I'm dealing with actors who do soap operas. I'm dealing with actors who are classically trained over in Europe. I'm dealing with actors who are classically trained in Australia. I'm dealing with actors who are in conservatories. I'm dealing with actors that, are in major television shows, major movies, and they're all reading for me. But while they're reading for me, I am pulling all of that knowledge out of them. And my acting went just like this.
Mm-hmm.
My auditions got so much better. I built my rig. My rig is tight. My rig looks like a major motion picture, right? They get to actually see what they're going to see on that screen.
Yeah, that's been tough.
To adapt. You got to be able to adapt, right?
Yeah.
But see, I'm a fashion photographer. I do videography. I do all those things. So it was up to me to build that rig to where I could audition right in my living room in the comfort of my own home with a beautiful actress that's on Broadway or an actor that went to Juilliard. And I'm like, I need you to be hard on me. Don't let me, when you read for me, you see something, you need to tell me. You see quirks, you see all these little things, you see exercises. If I start doing, let me know. And what happened is I come in with three or four different things I want to do. And they're like, at first it was like, well, let's try this. Well, let's try that. After about a month, it was like, I never would have thought of it that way, dude. Man, I don't got nothing else. These are actors who have been acting for 30 years. And I got all the experience from them just by them reading for me and me asking questions.
I think you're lucky. I think you're lucky that you started later because, you get, it's like anything, you get set in your ways. So, I to show the other side of the coin, I went to USC School of Theater Conservatory. I worked as an actor for many years. So by the time the pandemic hit, I was so kind of grounded in my way of going into that audition, going in and meeting with those casting directors, winning over the room. That was the way I did it. So the casting had already started going digital, and I was fighting that. And it was very difficult in the beginning. Like you said, it was pretty janky as everybody was trying to figure. We had casting directors who in the beginning said, here's an audition, go find someone. We will only accept a live person in the room on the first day of lockdown. And we had to explain to them, we're not allowed to interact with other people. How are we going to have a live person in the room? And that was how it started. And then you I gotta say, dude, your ego doesn't play into this. You have no ego. That's amazing.
There's no, and you know why? This is why. I'm gonna tell you why. This is the secret. I love to be wrong.
Oh, really? Please explain that.
I love to admit when I'm wrong because, of course, it tears you up inside. Damn, I'm wrong. Kills you inside, right? But what it does is it sequesters your pride and it kills your ego. And now your mind is open to every possibility, right? Because, perfect example, say everybody goes through this. You've been in an argument with a person and you're arguing and y'all could go back and forth for hours, right? And you just stand at a standstill. But I always submit because, first of all, if I don't know what I'm talking about, if I know what I'm talking about, I don't even need to be arguing with you. And I'm not trying to convince you because you don't want to be convinced. And now you're starting to make stuff up. And now you're truly going into the rabbit hole of untruth. And I'm going to just let you go there because I can't go there with you. And I let them go. I'm like, hey, you got it. Hey, you're right. And they still keep going, right? Just because they love the game of arguing. And what happens then is that their pride and ego are in such a way that they can't be wrong. So therefore they're not right and they're forever wrong. When I'm like, I was wrong. the path to righteousness is being wrong, right? And that's what I do. I'm looking for solutions. People come to me with problems. They're like, man, I can't do this because of this, that. And I'm like, so what's the solution? They're like, huh? It's like, what's the solution? I'm like, dude, you're wallowing in your pride and your ego and your anger that you haven't even thought about the solution. And I'm like, what do you want? I ask people this all the time. What do you want? And I said, just try this exercise, because this is what I do. I don't know if it works for anybody else, but I can tell you what works for me. If there's something I want, if there's a solution I need, I look at the most pie in the sky, fantastical, far-fetched solution there is. And people are like, man, you can't get that, DC. You ain't gonna never be able to do that. I'm like, all right, but I see it because it's my vision. I might not be able to get there now, but what if I come back an inch? What's it look like now? Yeah, that's kind of far away still. What if I come back another inch? Well, you actually doing that right now. Just learn how to do this, that, and that. You might be able to, you might have something. What if you come back now? Well, you're practically doing that. If you come back now, this is what you're doing. So now that you're here, you realize that you're halfway. And what you've just done is you've just created a reverse business plan with a step ladder to your goals and dreams. Nothing can stop you because you've seen it. Now it's up to you to put in the work, right? So you have hustle tactics. Things that I do is I join organizations. I'm a part of so many organizations because organizations are filled with people who love their profession. And they've been doing it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And when you join their organization, they can't wait to spill their experience on you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you just cut your learning curve in half. Every single one of these organizations has a community with threads, so you can just ask any question you want. And then people are going to come back and say, hey, I could do that for you. Or I know this person that could do that for you. They got the resources. So I'll give you a perfect example. Whenever you get a Geico commercial, an artist gets a Geico commercial, their career is reinvigorated. Salt and Pepper did theirs 2014. They didn't stop touring till the pandemic. We get a Geico commercial, we can't even tour. But I'm like, I'm not allowed to let this opportunity go by the wayside. I said, let me get a publicist to blow up acting and voiceover and to help me out with this commercial. We're still in a pandemic, so all the publicists are like, well, we don't kind of know what to do to a commercial, and you don't got a lot of credits. And I was like, thank you, appreciate it. Whenever that happens to me, I join an organization. I join the Public Relations Society of America. So I'm gonna be my own damn publicist. And I'm on a Zoom call 2 days in with the CEO of this PR firm. And I'm like, are press releases relevant? Because I drop press releases all the time. And I know they're relevant, but there's a way you got to do it. But I wanted to hear from a CEO of this firm, you know, and they're like, well, what's it for? I'm like, well, I'm kind of featured in a national Geico commercial called Whoomp There It Is. And I'm looking at the chat. And now I've just taken over the entire Zoom call because everybody's like, oh my God, that can't be him. Is that him? My mom loves that commercial. My dog loves that commercial. Everybody loves that. And the moderator's like, all right, back to DC's question. Our press release is relevant. And the CEO's like, yes, because the whole last year's every story's been about COVID and every story's been political. And here you guys come spinning scoops and throwing sprinkles, and DC, you'll smile. Of course, that press release is going to work. You can go here for all the publicists, here for all the TV talk shows, here for all the journalists, here for all the podcasts. Make sure your pitches are like this. She gave me the entire breadth of her experience in 10 minutes. And it's the reason that you and I are talking right now.
Yeah. And that's not luck. That's opportunity. You took advantage of opportunity.
That's not luck, man. That's learn how to learn hustle tactics. I am not going to let you dictate what I do. If I got to learn it myself, I will learn it myself, but I'm going to figure out a way to shorten my learning curve, not have a shortcut or go around. This is getting the proper information so I can make my own creation and do what I need to do to come up.
When did you learn that? Have you always been like that, or was that a late lesson in life?
I've always been like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even in high school, my friends would be like, man, one guy, he was like, I couldn't find a job. And I was like, well, where'd you go? Like, I went to like 4 places. I was like, what? I was like, dude, I was like, I get you a job in 5 minutes. He's like, no, dude, I gotta see this. I said, give me them yellow pages. For those who don't know, yellow pages basically Google in a big yellow thick book, right?
Used to throw it at people.
Yes.
Or
So
rip it in half.
I said, where you want to work at? He's like, I want to work at a restaurant. I was like, okay, cool. So I start at the top. I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm calling to see if you have any openings for, hiring. Nah, we're good. All right, thank you. Hey, how you doing? You filling out job applications right now? Nah, we're good. We're good. Man, okay. Hey, how you doing? Are you accepting job applications or are you hiring? Yeah, one of my girls just quit. You can get here today. You might have a job. Cool, thank you. There you go, bro. Right? All you have to do is get on the phone and call everybody and ask them, are they hiring? It's that simple. Right? I just figured things out. They call me DC, the brain supreme, for a reason. I think backwards, right? I'm trying to figure things out. Like we were in a lawsuit, maybe like 1997. Not a lawsuit, but legal. It's like a legal battle. And instead of looking at the glass half empty, I looked at the glass half full and I said, okay, I'm going to get my damn course. So you better become a paralegal because you can't afford a big time lawyer. So you better learn this yourself. You better do the best you can and just understand what the heck they're talking about. So I became a paralegal and started learning the legal jargon, started looking at case studies, started learning what emotion is, started going back and looking at other artists' situations. And because I kept everything and sent it to my mother's house, I had pretty much all the contracts, all the discovery. I organized it, digitized it. So when it came for our day in court, I had a big box of discovery, gave it to the lawyer, our beautiful Miss Melinda, and she came up with 5 different ways for us to prevail. And we prevailed after 15 years. It came at a cost, of course. When you go to war, you're going to lose an arm. You might lose a leg. You're going to come back with an eye patch. But I got such an education from that because when traumatic things happen in my life, I vow that it will never happen again, right? And the reason I say that is because sometimes, there are times in life where we beat ourselves up because we think we missed an opportunity or we think we've made a mistake. And I'm here to tell you, and this is what the pandemic did for me. It made me realize there are no missed opportunities. There are no mistakes. And the reason I can say that, because in 1994, I'm in the bowels of Disney teaching Mickey and Minnie Mouse how to rap. Right? And that's what basically started my voiceover career, because we did a Disney record and I taught the iconic voices of Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse how to rap, the husband and wife team. And I beat myself up for years because I was there and I didn't realize it. 1995, I'm sitting in the office of the president of New Line Cinema. And he's like, yeah, we're working on this movie. It's going to be big. I think I want to cast you for it. LL Cool J and Wesley Snipes are fighting for the lead. It's called Blade. And I'm like, oh yeah. Just talk to my agent. And I beat myself up for years because I was there. I could have been a voice actor and an actor, but my mind wasn't there because I was Whoomp There It Is, right? I was on top of the world. And I tell you these stories because I now stand before you, a working voice actor in commercial, promo, animation, and video games, and a working actor with just racking up credits like you wouldn't believe. Because I love the story of, I didn't start acting until I was 50. I love that narrative. And I tell you these stories because my Aunt Judy told me this a long time ago. She said, sometimes in life, we're just not ready. And that's okay. Like you don't put a pie, apple pie in the oven and start eating it after 15 minutes. It's not ready. You got to look at things that way. See, I come up with simple analogies that make sense, that drive me in the direction that I need to go.
Do you think some of that's entitlement? Not you, but other people. Do you think some of that's entitlement that they're not, because it's really important to you, the work that's gone in, and
Mhm.
rightfully so. But do you think some people, it's like, well, this is owed me, I did this, or this is supposed to be who I am,
Hey,
or
man,
I got the
I don't
right
even
look.
I don't even think about that nor care because
But you're sharing with other people.
I don't, yeah, exactly that, and the only thing I can control is what I do.
Mm,
And the only way I can get people to understand what I believe is to lead by example.
mm,
And I asked my voiceover coach, I was like, why are, I did a podcast with them and it was just, everybody was just riveted. I was on 10 that day. I was preaching. And I was like, why do people listen to me like that? And he's like, because most people tell people things that are out of a book. You tell people things that you're doing real time. He said, everything you tell me, everything you told me 2 months ago has come to pass. Everything you've told me a year ago has come to pass. When you put your mind to something, nothing stops you. And if it does stop you, it stops you because you found a better way to go to something else, right? You don't let things bog you down. And it's not, I don't even understand entitlement because I don't subscribe to the notion, well, they don't teach us that. They sure don't. Ain't gonna never teach you either. You better learn it yourself. Everything you need to learn is in a book for free. Everything you need to learn is on your phone, right? Like I'm a licensed commodities broker. I became a licensed commodities broker in 2002, not because I wanted to be a licensed commodities broker. It's because I vowed that I would never get beat out of my money. So you better learn about finance. Well, what's the best way to learn about something is to get in the dirt with it, right? So I passed the Series 3 commodities test, right? Failed it the first time. This is a learn how to learn tactic. If you're ever going to go for a certification or anything, there's no pride in failing. You're trying to get a certification. So you got to find out how many times you get to take the test and what time period. You can take tests 3 times within any period you want. Okay, let me go fail the first time just so I can see what's on the test, right? So I can learn what not to do and not to study. So I can have better time management on how I deal with this. Second time I pass it, now I'm working for two firms and I'm DJing at night. Mm-hmm. And for me to be a true licensed commodities broker, I would have had to pull away from the thing I love the most, which is music, which I was not going to do. But year 2000, I didn't know anything they were talking about on CNBC. 2002, I knew everything.
And in 2020, you're into blockchain, you're into Bitcoin, you're into NFTs.
That's a whole another 3 hours right there.
Oh, I had a professor on the other day, and after 2 hours, I still understand very little of it. So
you know what it is? I'm gonna explain to you easy, right? So everybody thinks cryptocurrency is about coins, right? These so-called coins, Dogecoin, Ethereum. You know what all these coins are? These coins are not coins, they're tokens. And what a token is, all these tokens are these tokens are angel investors who built a platform for other companies to flourish underneath their token. So now you get to become a angel investor in all the newest technologies on the planet. See, most people think it's about coins and money. It's not. Yeah. It's about the underlying things that are in that ecosystem of that token. So now you've got all the things that are in. It went from the real world to the digital world, now to the metaverse.
I was just going to ask you about that. So are you into the metaverses? Are you diving into that?
Okay, so check it out. The metaverse. I have a metaverse play so-called. Metaverse is what you can make it, because metaverse you can build. This is how I see the metaverse. Metaverse is like when you were a kid and you went to Disney World, or you went to the Six Flags or the theme park of your choice, right? Mm-hmm. You have this contained area where it's just fun, and everybody gets to play. So if you were to be able to buy little blocks of that amusement park, why would you buy it and where would you buy it? So me, I'm buying an information stand right at the entrance gate. So I buy a little block of land. This is my information kiosk. I give you the roadmap and where to go and what the best rides are throughout my little fun park.
Mhm.
Okay, well, if I wanted to have a food court, where would I put the food court? I put the food court by the most beautiful, the most, after doing the research, the best rides, because everybody's going to come off those rides and they're going to get their refreshments, they're going to get their food, right? It's about where you buy the land inside of this thing, this real estate that you bought. Now, what does that real estate do? Why are you buying digital real estate? Because that digital real estate, what if Anheuser-Busch likes what I'm doing on my digital real estate, and they say, you know what? We want to buy a plot next to him so we can pump up Anheuser-Busch so everybody in that amusement park sees that big Anheuser-Busch, and now we got Anheuser-Busch land.
Yeah.
All they are is just promotion pieces for it's a new form of promotion.
Yeah. People don't get that. I finally dove into it.
They're looking at it as land. Like, if you can't touch it, you can't put a flower in it. Don't know. This is about marketing.
Yeah.
Right. This is how I sell my game. This is how I sell the skins to the characters to give you an interactive experience to my game. This is about coming up with the best technology to where it looks so real. You're like, how did they do that?
Yeah.
And the people who come through, now that ecosystem, if you want your land, if you want that to flourish, well, then somebody's got to come up with video cards that now move at the speed of light. Who's going to do that? NVIDIA. Well, NVIDIA is under the Polygon ecosystem. So if I'm an angel investor for Polygon, I'm dumping money in Polygon because NVIDIA is the game in the digital world. And now they're trying to be and if they become the game in the metaverse, now they can bring the metaverse game back to the digital world, and all worlds are better.
Well, how is Facebook's metaverse going to change that, though? Because that's the misconception, is that people don't realize there's multiple metaverses out there for games.
There's metaverses under different tokens.
Yeah, I play World of Warcraft. That's basically a metaverse.
Huh?
I play World of Warcraft. That's basically a metaverse. It's just you buy, you sell, you have skins. It's just a whole new level that some of these other metaverses are going to.
Just think if a developer comes with the newest, hottest game and it puts it under the Polkadot platform. Now, every user who loves that game around the world can be interactive with each other around the world, and that game sells more units, and now that platform under that token Polkadot rises in value because now you're an angel investor for it. You're the one that put your money on it. So say you put $10,000, you stake $10,000. I'm going to give you $10,000 before we get to the next round to keep you going to be the ultimate gaming developer. So now that you put that $10,000 on, you're getting an APR because you let that money sit and you're the funding for that developer. Now that developer flourishes, your APR, now your that token for you is worth $100,000 because you put the money down in the beginning to help that game, help that token flourish. There are tons of tokens, but then there's only 5% of them that do that. The other 95% are scams. So that's why it's hard, right? Yeah. So when people get in, they say, well, this token's going up and I'm doing this and I'm into that. I'm like, you don't know cryptocurrency because you're in Vegas on a slot machine, basically how you're doing it. Because what people do is they invent these coins and they say, this is going to be the new coin. This is the bomb. This coin is going to be valuable. And people don't even know why it's valuable. They pump it up, pump it up, pump it up. It's basically just Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes. And then they pull their money and then they're out. And everybody goes back to zero. And everybody's like, well, I tried.
Penny stocks.
Yeah, basically. And I'm like, I said, me being me, I had several people say, hey, DC, we got opportunity for you. I'm like, I'm like, nah, let me talk to you about that later. And I turned them down because I was like, I can't talk to you about that now. And it wasn't because I didn't understand. I was trying to brush them off. It was like, I'm interested, but I have to get myself educated and get up to speed for us to even have the first conversation. So now my creativity comes into play. And now I know what I want, right? I know what metaverse I know what metaverse universe I'm going to build. And it's so universal that I know it's going to work. I know what NFTs to build because I know that I could either make a utility NFT, I can make a NFT where it's the signed autograph picture of me and Mickey Mouse or something like that. I can make one of me in concert. I can make one of me, but I can make 5 of me in concert, be like, you get dinner with DC, the Brains Prima Tag Team. I'll fly to your city. We go to dinner, you and your family. Because now that NFT has value. You put value behind it, right? Mm-hmm. And you'll get first dibs on my new NFT line where I sell it for a certain price and I'll give a certain couple of ones away, right? And I learned this because we started throwing out pitches for Major League Baseball teams. And they were like, we need you guys to sign some stuff. Would you mind? I was like, no. And I was like, cool, where's it at? I was like, well, we can't let you sign until the authenticator gets here. I was like, what the hell is an authenticator? And it's just amazing that how all the things in the real world get transferred to the digital world. And they're the same thing, but they're elevated, right? Mm-hmm. Because you've been going to trade shows for years, getting baseball cards for years, trading memorabilia, all that stuff. Now it's in the digital world in the form of NFTs. So if you can apply the same principles of the old school to the new school and then add on to it, oh my gosh. That's why cats are selling. If you're an artist and you're just so creative and you do ad campaigns, now you can do NFTs and you can sell them for $50 million. Oh, yeah. Because it's basically like Cabbage Patch Kids. Think about all the fads in history where everybody bought stuff. You always were like, I can't believe that many people bought that thing. But the person that bought it didn't care. They were happy as heck, right? All the toys that you bought when you were a kid, I know there's other kids like, why the heck you buy that? Why would they buy that? Why would you buy a Rolex? Why would you buy a big gold chain? That's all NFTs are. To think there's somebody that wants what you have. Yeah. Now it's up to you to market it in a certain way. So now, because of all the things that I've learned in my life, now SEO collides with crypto. And now it's become this whole big ball of something that I could have never imagined, because now I can impose my will in any platform. I know how to stealthily get in front of the people that pay me. I tell people about social media all the time because I know you get this. I don't do social media because it's just, that's for the kids. And I'm like, no, social media is not for just the kids. Social media is about attention for a lot of people. They think it's about likes. And I tell people, I was like, why are you going so? I was like, you don't need 100,000 people to like you. You just need 100 people to pay you. Mm-hmm. That's SEO, right? If there's a question out there that you can answer with your expertise, and you can answer that question on the first page of Google, now everybody comes to you. And then you get to sell your products and services. And now you come up, right? So if I do that with the metaverse and all these plays that I'm putting together with NFTs if you look at my social media, it is strategic. Everything is a strategy. It's about thank yous. It's about positivity. It's about you can do it. It's about poignant phrases of how I'm feeling in my life because of the things that I've accomplished, because everything that's on my page is something that I've accomplished. Mm-hmm. And I'm relaying it to you in words to let you know that you can do it too. So don't give up.
So the positivity works for you. And that's something you see the majority of the popular, very well-read social media feeds, whether it's you or Dwayne Johnson, or you can go through the list, they're positive. They uplift people. They make them feel better. But there is a dark side to that. There is another side where people do respond to isolation. They do respond to tribalism. They do respond to, oh, well, my life's bad. This person's bad. So we can,
but you know what?
We can talk.
I'm very good. I get those letters and I get letters and those things all the time. And I'm very good at talking people out of it, because I'm like, don't think about it that way. Think about it that way, but don't react to it. And what happens is when I put that in my pocket, it turns into positive energy. Perfect example. This is how I use it, right? Mm-hmm. If I've got an audition, the audition calls, I'm reading the script and I'm breaking it down. It's like, oh, I got to be arguing with this person. So, instead of being, okay, who is the character? Where was he born? What does he do? Instead of doing all that, I'm like, okay, I was arguing with this dumbass girl last week. And I did not react. I did not let her get to me, but I held it in. I put it in my pocket. Now
Yep.
I get to use it. And instead of me looking for a character or becoming a caricature, the character becomes me. And now it's real.
That's the toolbox.
And that's acting.
Yeah,
Right. That's
that
one
is.
form of it, right. That's how I use negative energy. I use a negative. Somebody tells me I can't do something. Oh, I can't, huh? All right. I develop more tactical ways to figure out how to do it. Like the pie in the sky. This is what I want. This is the solution. Okay, work your way back. Work your way back to practicality.
Mm-hmm.
What's practical right now? And do it. Then what's the next practical step? What's the next practical step? What if I don't have the money to do that? Well, then how can you find somebody to tell you how to do that step without it costing you an arm and a leg? Join that organization. So I'm a motivational speaker now because I joined the National Association of Campus Activities, NACA. And I joined that because I was trying to get us tag team shows at colleges, right? But then it ended up, I'm talking to all these motivational speakers and I'm like, I can do that. And then now they're helping me get everything on board to do that. If I could do 10 of those a year, I'm good, right? I do. And then that's how everybody was telling me, this is like 2017. They were like, DC, you can't do, we can't put you on our roster because you only got one song. Tag team only has Whoomp There It Is. It's like, I'm like, yeah, but I said, okay. And I joined the International Entertainment Buyers Association. And in concerts, you have the hierarchy. You have your buyers, the people who put on the concerts. You have your venues. Then you have your big time promoters, iHeartRadio and Live Nation. Then you got your mom and pops, the very people that were telling me they couldn't put me on their roster. Then you got your managers. Then you got your artists. I go to their convention, 5,000 strong. Me and Chubby Checker, the only black dudes there. I'm there with a big Whoomp There It Is t-shirt on. And now I'm networking. And people are like, oh, that's your song? I'm like, yeah. It's like, what are you doing here? It's like, well, we're a clean 90s nostalgia rap group because my pitch is together. And we're just looking for some shows. And the minute I said clean, their ears perked up because if I had just said rap, they'd be like, nah, we don't do rap. Right. When I said clean, nostalgia, those are the things that sell shows. And then I effectively cut out the middleman and we started doing shows in a variety of shows. Now we do 40 shows a year.
Okay, so
I did not let somebody tell me what I could or could not do.
So no one's listening. It's just you and me here. Mm-hmm. So it's what there, I think in the creative community, when it comes actors, singers, writers, let's call them creative producers because they're creating things. And I think too often we're taught or we're instructed that we have to wait for somebody else to recognize what we do. So it makes networking very difficult sometimes because it kind of feels like you're hat in hand. You're like, I can't be an actor unless somebody gives me a part. I can't be a writer unless somebody publishes what I do. But that's not true. But I think a lot of people are handcuffed by that.
You know what I tell people?
Talk to me. What?
I tell people, you have to let them see you hustle stealthily. I know SEO, so I know that casting directors are looking, at actors and stuff at 2:00 in the morning. I know that casting directors love Twitter. I know that journalists love Twitter. So instead of sending the journalist an email, I will try to get them to follow me on Twitter because now I can communicate with them. Mm-hmm. Now I can get to the USA. I can get to the New York Times. I can get to the Hollywood Reporter. I can get to them now because I found out, I figured it out. And now I let them see me hustle. I didn't just do that Geico commercial. I infiltrated one of the biggest marketing agencies in the world. 2 weeks ago, I was named the biggest tag team, was given the honor of Adweek magazine, the biggest trade in the industry in the world, the honor of the #1 commercial of the year and the marketing agency of the year for the people who we were under 2 years in a row. And I am best friends with the CEO all the way down the line because I infiltrated that and I let them see me hustle. At the beginning, I would do like we did the Dan Patrick show. I told you I dropped that press release. Mm-hmm. Dropped that press release. And it was Super Bowl week. That Wednesday, that Thursday, I get a call from the Dan Patrick Show. We want you on the show Friday. Can we do it Monday? Nope, we want you on Friday. Now Friday, I'm on Dan Patrick Show, national TV, talking about strip clubs and Tom Brady. What? And now it's my opportunity because Geico's like, whoa, now they're all listening. And I just said, let me throw something out here. So yeah, we're doing a new tag team challenge. Can't tell you what it is now, but we're going to do it on TikTok and it's going to be big. And he's like, really? It's like, if you go look at the Dan Patrick interview with tag team and you'll see how I weaved my web, how I let them see me hustled. I get a call about 3 days later. Hey, DC, this is such and such from Geico. We heard about the tag team challenge. We want to be a part of that. I let them see me hustle. 2 weeks later, I'm on a Tamron Hall show, ABC Daytime. Every time I drop a press release, things happen because a press release is a Trojan horse for me. I only drop a press release when I have a headline. So the second one was, we were the grand marshals of the Talladega 500, NASCAR. Drop a press release. Boom, things start happening again, right? Because I'm letting people know I'm acting. I throw stuff out there like, yo, I want to be in The Mandalorian. I want to be in anything Star Wars universe, live animation or live action. Now, I'm not emotionally tied to any of these things, right? But when I sit here and I throw things in the universe and I tell people what I do, I'm letting them see me hustle. Plus, I listen. Here's a beautiful story. I watch people badger agents. How come I'm not in this? How come I didn't go out for Black Panther? I need more auditions. How come I'm not doing anything? And they're like, we hate that. That's all I need to hear. I learned what not to do. That's the key. So what I do, I'll call my agent and be like, hey, what's going on? I just want to thank you guys. I appreciate that last audition you gave me. That was a good one. I think I did very well. I got a question for you though. I'm going to this class on Monday, this class on Tuesday, these two on Wednesday. I got a workshop on Friday. I'm doing this intensive on the weekend. And I'm just trying to find more stuff to do. Is there anything else I need to be doing? And they'd be like, man, DC, if you don't get off this phone, I'm like, no, I'm trying to figure out what to do because I'm trying to make us some money. And instead of calling and saying, why haven't I auditioned for Black Panther 2? I called and said, hey, I'm putting in this work. What else can I do to make us some money? You let them see you hustle in a way that I wasn't sitting there bragging about what I do. I was just saying, is there any more I could be doing? It was so different from what everybody else is doing. That's what makes it special. That's what makes it stick in people's head.
Do you think people underestimate you?
I could care less. I don't know. I hope so because
that's a tool.
I know, but I don't think about that. I'm thinking about solutions. If they underestimate me, good, because I know that eventually, and you know how I know this? Because in the beginning, when I started acting, I look at all these actors who've been acting for 20, 30, 40 years. And then after about 6 months, I'm going to their classes because a lot of actors are teachers. And I go to class, I'm like, hey man, I got an audition for this one. It's like, yeah, I'll audition for that, but it wasn't paying enough money. And I was like, damn, you couldn't be happy for me because I auditioned for it. And right then, that's one of what you just asked me. And right then, I didn't react. I didn't get emotional. I put that shit in my pocket. And I said, all right. All right.
Yeah.
Doubled down on the work. And I stayed in his class. And I learned everything that he could teach me. And I asked every question because I'm not going to let you discourage me by being envious or letting your reaction get the best of you. And that teacher taught me things that I hold dear today. And if I had been emotional about it, I would have just quit the class and I wouldn't have learned those things. But those things that man taught me, even though he was hating on me at the same time, were the things that have gotten me to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
You cannot be emotional about things, right? Now, there's things that I see that I don't like, but here's how I did it. Cause see, this is my thing. I give what I want first, right? So for me in acting, this is how I said, look, I'm letting them see me hustle. So I'm going to class a half hour early and I'm helping my teachers set up. You can ask every one of my instructors. If they listen to this, they know I'm there a half hour before, helping them setting up the cameras, the whole nine, the lights. I got you. At the same time, I'm asking them, hey, so what do I do in this and that? How do I get out? I'm picking their brain while I'm setting up chairs and all this stuff. Then we start class, like, who's ready to go first? I'm going first. Me and my partner going first. And see, what I realize is that instructors don't know how to tell time. So if you got a 2-hour class and you go first, you're going to get 45 minutes till they realize, wait a minute. Oh, I'm running behind. Then you rushing through the rest of the class and you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that information. Then after class is over, I stay after class, put up the chairs, put up the cameras and walk the teacher to their car, picking their brain.
Mm-hmm.
Let them see you hustle.
There's people, like you mentioned the other people in your class, like you mentioned, you got an audition, the person's like, oh, well, it didn't pay enough. And rah, 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 rah. There's a horrible feeling in the entertainment world that it's a sum game, that if one person wins, someone else has to lose. There's this, like, it all adds up. But that's not true. But there is this mentality there that it's like, well, if you got an audition, then I'm not going to get it. Or I can't be happy for you because I didn't get it. Because it all equals out. It's a sum game. And it's not the facts.
I don't even care about that no more because
you are so above it. You're just like,
you know, I
got it figured out.
Because
I love it.
I've earned my way to, okay, so this is another thing I learned. Casting directors don't bring you back if you're not good, if they're not interested, if they're not trying to place you, if they're not trying to help you.
Right.
There was sometimes I auditioned 10 times a week in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I'm auditioning more. I haven't done the last 8 auditions because I've been on the road doing other things. I haven't had time. And it kills me because I know that every audition is an opportunity to turn that one audition into 10 other opportunities. Mm-hmm. And I hate it. But I know that I can't wait to get to the next one because I know how to break down a script. I know how to put myself in a position to do the best I can as an actor and put together a good ass audition and send it on in and then let it go. Now there was a time where I was like, it was short and it was very short and sweet, where I was like, oh man, what am I doing? I know I did good on that. Why didn't I get? And they'll tell you, you might look like somebody's ex-husband, or the director might not just be feeling you. I've had the owner of my agency call and say, me and the casting agent were pissed that you didn't get that because that was by far the best audition.
Mm-hmm.
To have the owner of the biggest agency in the Southeast call me and tell me that I'm doing something right. Mm-hmm. That means that it wasn't about me. It was about, I just wasn't right for that part, but I knew I did a good audition. So if I do the best audition I can and do different things and I'm not going to think about I already know how I'm going to do it just by read out what, I learned things from voiceover that I bring over to acting. When I get a script, I whisper the script. I read through and I whisper just so you can kind of hear things and feel things. Right. And then I'll throw it in the AI and I'll let it read to me. And then I'll record it, and then I'm just listening to it because it's not about learning the lines. It's about understanding what the hell you're doing in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can go back in life and you can say, I remember when I was doing this. Yeah, this is what I got 5 different things that I could throw at this because I've done these things. Right. And now I just get to go play nostalgia. And get to go back. And then when I'm blocking it with my We Audition partners, that's fun too, because you're in such a little space that you got to block it in a way that's innovative, right? You got to block it in, and you got to block it in a way where it's outside the box. You don't want to be like everybody else. You want to bring what you bring to it. And that's why I love auditioning, man. I love auditioning. I swear I do, man, because it's just, every time I audition, I know what I could do better, It's getting, because at first it was about the lines. I was just struggling. But then now It's like I'll start an audition with a partner and I could do an audition. If I could do 5 pages in about 2 hours and have that thing done. Right. I could do it. It don't take a long, but I try not to do it like that. But sometimes time doesn't permit for me to have 3 days to play with an audition. Right.
Yeah.
And you just develop tactics to do things. And that's why I know that with my work ethic, I keep saying I'm going to be a good working actor when I'm already a working actor. That's the beauty of it. My friends out there always like, man, you're already working. Quit saying that.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
someone else's metric.
Yeah,
that's like, not yours.
And that's what people tell me all the time. DC, you've gotten more auditions in the last 2 weeks than I've gotten in a year. And I'm like, and they think it's because of how they look. They think it's because of, I'm like, it's only because you're not putting in the reps. I tell people this, when what was it, Clubhouse? When Clubhouse was real big in the beginning, I get on these acting portals where it'd be all these actors and they would let me speak because that's when the commercial was hot. And I remember one time this girl was on and she was just crying and I'm not getting any auditions and I'm not this and I'm not that. And then they were all just come. Well, first of all, are you okay? Are you fine? I'm just like, oh. and then they was like, DC, you got something? I was like, hey, I said, I can tell you this, you might not be getting no auditions, but that little performance you just put on for everybody, I might have cast you if I was a casting director. I said, call me and we'll talk because I can't talk to you in front of everybody. And everybody's like, huh? And I'm like, if you want to learn, call me. And she called me, and I gave it to her. I said, how many classes you taking? Well, I'm trying to get with this one teacher. I said, how many auditions are you getting? I said, well, are you practicing? I said, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I said, you have got to put in reps. I said, you do not go to the gym, do a set of bench press, 20 reps, and look in the mirror and say, okay, I'm buffed now. It don't work like that. You got to put in the reps. I will use my We Audition friends for voiceover auditions. I'll just be like, just like I'm doing this voiceover audition, just tell me when you feel that it's real. And then we apply the acting to the voiceover and the voiceover to the acting, and I'm putting in reps and I'm learning things about myself, and I'm constantly doing it just by being online with another person, practicing. I do it all the time. So when I get a script, I go straight to We Audition. I'll be like, I mark it up. I'll be like, let's run it. What you think about this? How can I do this? How can I do that? But most of the time I already got that hashed out before I even go there. But sometimes I like to go into it fresh. I do it in several different ways. And then before I go, if I do book something, I wanted to be on I wanted to be practicing every day, but I'm practicing my head, but I know that I got to do more. So I know that I got to practice with different people, I got to get it so ingrained in me by practicing with other people. Because if you don't do that, you get on set and you haven't practiced with other people, but you know your lines, but you're just saying words because you haven't practiced with other people. So when you do your scene with somebody else and you're trying to juggle those 8 balls at one time, because now you're getting new blocking, you're getting new things when you could have been practicing and coming up with scenarios that you think will happen according to the script. Now it's hard. But if you do it like that, this is how auditions are. If you're in the room, they're always going to say, well, especially in commercials, well, just do your own thing. Let's see what you got. And then all those things that you practice, now you get to just throw it out there.
Yeah.
That's what gets you there. All that repetition, all that practice, all those things get you there. And if you don't do that, you can't do it. So you got it. So you asked me at the beginning, why am I positive? Because I know that if I keep a positive attitude and I keep hustling and I keep playing offense, it's going down. And that makes me happy because I know I got a chance. So I gotta be positive because anything else is going to take me, it's not going to work. Now, of course, there's doubt. Of course, there's a certain time of the day where I see how people go crazy, right? I do. But it don't last long. It might last 5 minutes, like last 10 minutes, right? Especially during COVID. But it was like, keep grinding, keep working. Like, there's 10 things I want to talk to you about now. I can't because I'm on a non-disclosure agreement. I'm sitting here building websites. I'm sitting here building the metaverse land. I'm sitting here building metaverse. You know, I'm doing all these things. I'm staking. I'm doing all this stuff in the cryptoverse. And I had to let stuff go because I wanted this. But now I get to bring all this back to what I'm doing, which is when all these games start jumping over here, DC the Brain Supreme will be able to do video game voiceover for a lot of them because I'm already in. So if I can do the voiceover for the newest games coming out with all the newest developers, now I'm in on the bottom floor and I can invest. So that's the same thing as being in an Amazon when they had their first warehouse and say, just pay me in stock.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. Opportunities to get paid in stock, get paid in coin, cryptocurrency, get paid in anything that's new and innovative. Because 10 years ago, did you think Elon Musk would be just throwing rockets up in the air 24/7? Did you think we did the photo shoot for the Adweek? I got the cover of Adweek. We did the photo shoot at the Tesla factory in New York. And I learned about Tesla. And that dude is brilliant. He is brilliant. And people want to get mad at him because he's the richest man in the world. He's the richest man in the world because he think like I think. Or I think like he think. I just don't care, right? I'm going to keep grinding. I'm going to figure it out. If there's some stuff I want to do, I'm going to do. And people say, well, what's next for DC? And I'm like, I have no idea. But I know I'm just going to keep preparing. I'm not going to give up. And what happens, happens.
Would you take a ride on his rocket?
Mm-hmm.
If he offered you in a heartbeat?
In a heartbeat.
Why do you think people take that? Why do people seem so affected when they come back from that trip? Why do you think that is?
Because you've done something that everybody's telling you not to do. And you have no idea. People have their perception of what they think it is. But what if you get in that rocket and you're terrified, but now that terror turns into bliss. And it turns into an experience that you could have never paid for. It turns into a spiritual experience. It changes you forever. It changes your thinking. It changes you as a person. It changes you as a human being, right? No one can tell me that William Shatner hasn't lived the perfect life. William Shatner is damn Captain Kirk, and Captain Kirk went to space. What? That's like Mark Hamill going to space.
Yeah.
In his Jedi uniform.
Then he got in a car crash after he got back to Earth too.
But I'm saying, yeah, but think about it. You see what I'm saying? Like, dude, you just don't know.
Yeah.
But that opportunity, though I would have thought about it long and hard, and I wouldn't want to, I would do it. I probably would do it. And because either way, you will live forever. And at this point, I've been so blessed. I've lived a great life. And if it's that time, either way, I will be known forever. And hey, man, that's the best we could do in life, right?
You're still young. You're only halfway.
I didn't say I wasn't still young. I'm just saying I've lived a very blessed life. It's getting I'm not saying, and I feel like I'm 25 because I'm into everything. I said I will not. This is my vow to myself during the pandemic. I said I will not leave this earth regretting something I didn't do, I wanted to do. That's why I have tutors for everything. That's why I'm back in the music production. That's why I'm back into anything that I need to learn to be self-sufficient. I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it's just, and the thing, and I've learned how to find coaches like with music. I went and found my man Gregor. He's one of the engineers on Studio One software, right? He built that software that everybody makes music on. And I went straight to the horse's mouth. I said, what's going to cost me? You teach me. He said, it ain't going to cost that much. I got you. And once we had our first session, I DC the brain supreme. I Whoomp There It Is them. You know what I'm saying? I threw all this positive energy to him, and now we cooking. Now I'm back up to speed. I hadn't touched a drum machine in 20 years. Now I can make anything I want to make musically. Right? Because I found somebody who could tell me what to do. Therefore, I'm not spending my time on what not to. I'm not trying to figure out what not to do. Same thing with crypto. I got a coach. Crypto is difficult because it's brand new, and there are financial institutions against it. So you have to come up with different formulas and different ways to move money around and to do things and make transactions to keep the fees low, to keep, there. Are you messing with, because you got centralized network and you got decentralized network. Centralized network is network where somebody's in charge of it, and if they just like, you know what, I'm gonna take my money now and kill it, they can do it. Decentralized it is a community. You can't kill it. That's what Bitcoin is. Right? You see what I'm saying? So if it's decentralized, there's no government, there's nobody that can get to it. They could try to stop it, but they're not gonna, because they know it can't be stopped. So therefore they use it because they hedge against inflation or anything that's going bad in their country through that form of currency. There are so many different combinations of what you can do with what you know how to do, that you have to think differently, and you can't think like everybody else. That's why the most important thing is to educate yourself about the thing that you want. And the best way to do that is joining an organization, because they will tell you in 2 weeks and you'll know it's for you or not. And then it's up to you to put in the work.
Do you think the feds are going to come out with a digital cryptocurrency for the US? I've heard that rumor.
They do. If they don't, they don't. Like, see, that's the thing. People get mad and they get emotional in their feelings because they made this law and they made this law and they're pissed off about it. Or they made this law on this side and they're pissed off about it. And I don't think that way. I'm like, okay, they made this law so somebody can make some money. How can I get on that side and make that money? Let me learn what they did on that law to put my situation in that situation. What did they do on this side to do that? Right? Because no matter what happens, it's going to help somebody, it's going to hurt somebody. Right? And the only way it hurts you is if you let it. Unless they poison in your water or something like that. But I'm just saying, all the things that happen in government or happen in the world, you have a choice. You can learn what they just did and pull it in your repertoire, or you can be pissed off about it and be a victim of it. And that's what happens. And that's how people get manipulated. And then people are getting manipulated and they're backing things that they don't even understand. And now they're truly lost. That goes back to being wrong. Yeah. That whole being wrong. If everybody on the news was like, you know what, I was wrong for that. I was following somebody I shouldn't have followed. I was believing something I shouldn't believe. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
That's evolution, though. That's an evolution of us as a society. And sometimes we're not very forgiving about that. We're like, but you said this. Well, I learned something.
Yeah. Right? Hey, I did say this and you still can hate me. It's cool. But now my mind is open to every possibility. It don't matter what you think about me no more. Right? It's about what I think about me. I'm not holding myself back anymore. Now I can use your hate as fuel. Your hate is positivity to me. Right? Because now I got to show you. And the only way you're going to change somebody's mind is to live by example. If you live by example and people see you living the way you're supposed to live, somebody's going to be like, hey, he was right. Let me try. And they're going to try and they're going to see how better their lives are. But most people are going to just go deeper in the rabbit hole of hate or lying or untruth or selfishness or envy or despair. Really? You want to play it like that? Hey, I can't stop you. All I know is that all I'm trying to do is be better, a better man today than I was yesterday. That's all I got control over, right? And if I can do that and lead by example, somebody listening to this podcast might be better for it. Sometimes it takes one thing. With acting, I was loud all the time. Teachers always tell me, DC, you're too loud. DC, you got to calm down. DC, you're too happy to be, in whatever way they were telling it to me, it wasn't working. And I was getting frustrated. And Natalia Livingston, we were doing the 3 billboard scene where Woody Harrelson is talking to her. And I'm like, why don't you just leave me alone and blah, blah, blah. She's like, DC, you guys are talking face to face. Why are you talking loud? I'm like, okay. And I'm still talking a little loud. She said, DC, when you're on set, you're going to have a microphone on. You can actually whisper. And then from that day forth, every time I looked at television, I would watch how people talk on camera.
Mm-hmm.
And they're whispering, especially like crime shows. Everybody's just talking like this, but they're intense and they're right. You don't have to be bombastic. You can still get your point across, but you can whisper. And that creates an effect, right? That creates reality. Because if I'm in your face and we're talking, we don't have to be yelling. And from that day, I had another scene where we did 7. Me and this dude did Brad Pitt, and I was Morgan Freeman, and I was just calm, and I was just quiet, and I was just, and it was just perfect. And I could see out the corner of my eyes, everybody just, their mouths were open because they saw the transition. You only get that from class. Class is necessary, right? Then it's about putting in the reps, right? So now all these things stick with me. I still go back and revert back to bad habits every now and then, but at least I know they're bad habits, right? And man, I love acting, dude. I love acting. But see, here's the thing. We're in a little lull. So right now I'm learning how to make pitches to marketing agencies because I've got 1 million pitches of tag team to do different commercials for different brands. Mm-hmm. So it's up to me to put the pitch together. So I have to put the pitch together that if I came off the street and threw it to a marketing executive, what is it that they want to see in a pitch that can make them say, hey, this is good. Hey, we might try this. That's what I'm trying to do, because then that comes to acting. So all the things that I think I could be good in, I could make a marketing pitch for it and be like, I think I could cast good for this, and here's the pitch. And because I've got one of the biggest commercials, in the end, it will be one of the biggest commercials in the history of television commercials. Because people tell me that all the time. I'm reserved, but people tell me that all the time. So I run with it. Now, when I go into a marketing agency, all I got to do is say sprinkles, and they're going to take me serious. And they're going to look at my pitch, and I'm not going to give them one pitch, because if I give them one pitch, that just makes it easy for them to say, well, we're not looking at it that way now, so we're kind of good. I'm giving them 5 pitches. I'm giving them 5 pitches so they can pick one. It's a better effect. Or I'm going to give them a couple, be like, these are a couple. It's like, well, I got this last one. What do you think about this one? That'd be my best one.
Yeah.
Because I know marketing, dude. I've been in the clubs. I've been a club promoter for 30 years. You merge all these. I know SEO. I know how the game works in different aspects and different lanes. And now I bring them all together as one, and it's custom to me.
Does it feel like the tools caught up with you almost? Like you had these skills, you had these ideas, and then suddenly the tech caught up with you. Not the tools, but the tech. Now SEO, now all of these, now you can use all of these things you've been working on.
And that's the thing. It's like, even with the music, I've always been this creative, but the technology had to catch up to the creativity.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. The technology caught up with the hustle. The technology caught up with the creativity. The technology caught up with me. And now I am masterful at the technology because I'm continuing to learn about it. And I'm now fashioning it in my own image, right? I'm in the Wikidata. I write Wikipedia pages. I build websites. I do JSON LD schema markup, right? I know Google is a robot. Google gives you the recipe to feed the robot. What are you going to be? Short order cook or a 5-star Michelin chef? I choose the latter because Google gives you the recipe on how to get on the first page of everything. Because if you can provide the service or answer the question that somebody's asking, that's what you're trying to do. That's what you do. If I get in a car accident and my leg is broke, I'm like, somebody call 911. Well, never mind. There goes an ambulance right there. Because when I needed an ambulance, it was right there. That's SEO. Being in front of the person that needs you right then and there first. You don't need 100,000 people to like you. You need 100 people to pay you. Period. All this comes from thinking differently. All this comes from me doing 3-4 podcasts a day because I get to test these analogies. I get to talk to good people like yourself, and we get to have real conversations about life. And I'm thinking differently. I'm picking up on things you're picking up on. And in the end, all I am is filled with gratitude that you just let me come on here and run my mouth. Because I've learned so much today on what I need to do and how I want to do it, that it elevates me every time I open my mouth and talk on a podcast. That's why I do so many.
That's what it's about. It's about the conversation.
About the conversation.
I'm not letting it flow.
And then, this is also articulation for voiceover. This is also storytelling for acting. This is also SEO, because I'm going to send you some things to put DC Glenn in the URL. And then now anytime somebody types in DC Glenn, they're going to pull up the podcast. And then you're going to put your podcast on several different platforms. So now all that SEO comes back to me. Google knows exactly where to put your podcast pertaining to me because my name is in it. Now people are going to see that and look at your podcast. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? I kill so many birds with one stone. I'm practicing for a TED Talk right now. I know how the whole TED Talk hierarchy works. Now I can infiltrate it from the sides. There's so many things I'm trying to do. Because I know I
work the system. Don't let the system work you.
The system can never work me. That one time, but there you have to go through the system working you to understand that you build your own system to work, right? Yeah. Everything's custom. Like I look at it as, everything is possible now. Pandemic just wiped the slate clean. So I built a lane. And that lane is going to take me somewhere. Then I built another lane and another lane. Now I have a highway. Now that highway can take me anywhere I want to go. And if I want to turn off, I'll build an off ramp and then go over there and then go over there. People are sitting there waiting for it to get back the way it used to be, when the only thing that's going to happen is they're going to just sit there waiting for it to get back the way it used to be, because it's not coming back. Everything is moving forward. I'm standing in the foothills looking at this mountain filled with gold. There's a reason they say there's gold in them Dar hills. And I'm standing at the foothills looking at this mountain. It's up to me to put in the work to extract it, and it's all mine. That's how I look at life. Yeah. That's how I look at opportunity, right? It's up to me. It's up to nobody else. I expect nothing from no one. I don't expect certain behaviors from people. I accept people for who they are. I'm not going to do certain things because of who they are. We can't go certain places because of who you are. I can't be with you because of who you are, but I accept you for who you are, and we're friends, right? But don't get it twisted. I'm going to keep it moving. Always. If LeBron shoots 30 shots and misses all of them, he's going to shoot 30 more. He misses those, he's going to keep shooting. He makes one, he makes two, then he wins 6 championships.
Do you subscribe to the idea it's by who you surround yourself with then? No?
Because what if the people that are most negative and critical in your life are the people you love the most in your life? You better learn how to use their negativity to your advantage. And think about it. My father just teased me all my life, right? About everything that I've ever done, but he still loves me more than anything. And how I know he does is because all his friends were like, your father used to brag about you every day. He's this, he's that. He's so proud of you. But people's pride can't let them do that. People's pride got to be like, oh, you still my son. I'm still smarter than you. You still ain't, No. Right? I listen to people tell me you can't do that. I listen to my whole neighborhood laugh at me because my first high school party, I saw 2 turntables and a mixer. And I went and worked my butt off that summer and got 2 turntables and a mixer, scratched up all my daddy's records, and they wanted me to come out and play with them. And they all laughed at me. And I made a career DJing. And now I have one of the greatest records in the history of recorded music because of it. See, the back end is where life gets grand. The back end is where you can look about your accomplishments and know the work that you put in. And then if you're lucky enough, you know, that back end turns into a whole new thing. And then you can cycle, you can do cycles in life, and you just could constantly keep going. I'm gonna ride, you get one life, and I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. And like I said, I just want to thank you for having me on today, because I learned more from talking to people, and I've learned a lot today. So thank you.
Oh, that's why I do the show. DC, thanks so much for spending the time with me. This was a lot of fun. It was great diving into I really enjoyed diving into your philosophy and not just talking about the music or talking about the other stuff. That's where I think the real lessons are. So thanks for sharing that with me. That was really great.
And that's what everybody wants to know. Everybody knows about Whoomp There It Is. I tell people, I say, look, it's not about me. It's all about you. Ask me what you want to ask me. Because most of the time people are like, so how did this even, how am I even talking to you? Because that's the kind of tripped out part about it, right? Like how, just talk. And then I just get to talking. And I remember I had a podcast with this lady in Spain. I'll never forget it. And she was like, did you read my questions? I was like, no, I kind of don't do that. I know how to do this. So just ask me what you want to ask me. She was like, oh my God, you didn't read the question. We have to postpone. I was like, lady, push play. Just push record. She's like, no, because those questions are and it keeps me on. I was like, it's not about me. It's about you. I said, I'll make it easy for you. Ask me one question. I'll take care of the rest. And she's like, are you sure? I was like, yep. She asked me one question. And she got to just fumbling and speaking Spanish. And then she got so comfortable. And then we just had such the greatest conversation.
Yeah.
And she was just so happy. And I know she was like, and to think I was about to postpone this podcast. Now, you know, and that's just me, right? So I know what my contribution is to, and what my gift is, right? My gift is, you know, talking to people and just telling my experiences and telling what I've done and try to keep people in a better light. Like I said, all this is easier said than done. I have my days, you know, but I have my days. Most of my days,
we all do.
Most of my days are filled with getting up 4 a.m. and grinding until I go to sleep. And I get so much, I get done in a day what most people get done in a week, because I want it all. Like, what do you want, DC? Or like, I want it all. Well, what is all? All is whatever comes my way.
You've always been that way, though.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm picking up from you, like going all the way back to high school. Like
I don't just want to be one thing. Like every time I could get some type of mastery over some people, like, you need to do that as a job. I'm like, no, because then I wouldn't want to do it. Hey man, can I hire you to be my publicist? Nah, because I only like to be a publicist for myself.
Yeah, I get that.
I can't do this for you because I don't know what your work ethic is. I don't know if you're serious. I don't know if you appreciate what I'm doing. Because I'm effectively teaching you how to learn something you should already know how to do. Just because I know, and the only way it's going to happen is if I know that you're willing to put in the work. So people who willing to put in the work, I will pay you to do something for me that you're supposed to do for me. But because you only know what you know how to do, I will teach you the rest of the way so you can do it for me.
Yeah. But you know what else it is, though? It's you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm stating the obvious, but you believe in yourself. So when you promote yourself, you don't have to fake it. You believe in yourself. So if you're a publicist for somebody else, they don't believe in themselves enough to promote themselves. So they need somebody else to kind of step up and do the work, do the reps, to use your term.
Yep. I know that I know how to get in front of anybody I want to get in front. I will fly to LA and sit out in front of any magazine and be like, yo, can we just talk? Like if there's somebody I want to get to, I like, hey, I want to come out there. I want to buy you and your whole crew dinner. We just going to sit back and talk. I do that often. That's how I do things. That's how I learn things. That's how I imprint on people, because I need to know if we're gonna do business together that I don't pick the right person. I need you to feel me. And I can tell you the opportunities that I've gotten from doing podcasts every day is just astronomical. I've been to Comic-Con because of a podcast. I gained a financial planner because of a podcast. I've gotten legal advice because of a podcast. I've gotten to I got a crypto guy because of podcast. I got an NFT guy because of the podcast. I did a podcast on SEO, and the head of Geico's SEO division listened to that podcast every week and was like, what is he doing on there? And he called me and said, your techniques and your tactics in SEO are simply brilliant. And I'm like, this is the dude who is in charge of SEO for the biggest insurance company in the world. Like, okay. And I have to pinch myself because validation is a beast. Validation is the thing that brings out your ego that you have to keep sequestered, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, because that man knows SEO, because he knows it. And for him to tell me that, to take time out of his day to tell me, hey man, I listened to you on this podcast, you killed it. The stuff you were talking about, I had never heard of. Now I got to go back and learn some stuff. My mentors have me teaching other people now. They have me come as a guest teacher. Like, I just think differently. There's 9 ways to skin a cat. There is.
Yeah.
It isn't just one way.
People get too set. They get too set.
Think about acting. Everybody's success story is different in acting. Think about music. Everybody's success story in music is different. There's some actors that just naturally know how to act, and they were at the right place at the right time. There's some actors that have been acting for 20 years and then finally get their break. There's some, just every person's journey is different.
Right, because people try to follow in footsteps versus learning lessons from the people that went before them. Those are two completely different things.
And the one thing that I did that all my colleagues and all my classmates don't do is I said, look, if I got to have 1,000 auditions to get where I want, can I do 50 a day, please? Right? But they're getting one audition and be like, I didn't get the audition. I'm so sad. I'm so emotionally, like, see, you're looking at it as a popularity contest. I'm looking at it, give me the next audition and the next one. Let me keep trying. Let me keep going. Let me keep going. Let me keep going. Eventually, and then you listen to all the people throughout history. Dan DeVito said he did 100 auditions before he booked one thing. There are people out there that have done 200 auditions before they book one thing, and now they're esteemed actors, right? There's people that have done 10 auditions, and now they're esteemed actors. There are people who have booked stuff, and then they did it for a little while, and they couldn't keep it going, and now they're not acting anymore. You just have everybody. It's not about being an A-list actor. It's about getting better at the craft to be able to do it. Then it's up to your hustle after that. Right? It's up to your hustle, how you present yourself, how you carry yourself. And that's what I love, because I can walk in any mall right now, nobody knows who I am, and I'm on TV every day because of how I carry myself.
Yeah.
Now, if I walk in the mall and got Gucci this and big chains and Rolexes and all that, then somebody will be like, who the hell is that? And you bring attention to yourself. But I get to live my life. I have lived my life always. I have never been a star, ever. Don't want to be. All I can be is DC. That's it. And that's good enough.
That's good enough.
Good
So
enough.
your SEO, you are everywhere, but where do you want people to start? Where do they start the journey finding you?
And you know, you do it so they can type in anything about who's the guy from Tag Team. You find me. How can I get in touch?
Your Twitter feed is really good. I was on there today.
So here's a thing that I learned. You want to make sure that all your handles are the same. So for DC Glenn, it's DC Glenn ATL across the board. For Tag Team, it's Tag Team Whoomp across the board. So you type in any of those, and it's gonna go everything. You type in, and then I've disambiguated myself from every other DC Glenn, every other Cecil Glenn, DC the Brain Supreme, because I do wiki data. So when you see my knowledge panel, that big long rectangle box on the right side of any result, it's going to stretch down and down and down and down and down just as long as all the results, because I have a lifetime full of stuff in that knowledge panel, because I know SEO. I know how the knowledge panel works. I know how to do wiki data, which is basically archiving your life. That's the soil. And then Wikipedia is the harvest. And then you mirror the harvest in the soil with your website. And then the icing on that 3-layer cake is your JSON LD, which is, when you look for a pie recipe and it has all the bells and whistles, the 5 stars, and it takes this long to cook, and these are the ingredients all in the result, that schema. Or when I type in African-American actor and it comes up with that carousel of all those actors, I'll be in that, because I know how to do SEO, because I can make my own list. Best actors in Atlanta, or best African-American actors in Atlanta, because somebody's going to type that into a search, because I know how many times it's being searched a month. I know what the suggestions are when you type it into Google, because as soon as you type into Google, Google's giving you suggestions, which are questions that need to be answered. Then you go to the middle of the page and there's a whole FAQ little block of questions that need to be answered. How old is DC the Brain Supreme? How old is Cecil Glenn? Does Cecil Glenn have a girlfriend? Now I get to answer those questions on the FAQ on my website, and then Google crawls those spiders through. They said, hey, he did this right. Let me put him on the first page of this, and this, and this, and this. Let me go out in the universe and bring all that stuff that pertained to him back to him, put it in his knowledge panel, because he did it right. He did my job for me. Now I have to bless him. Don't get me started.
You are on top of it. DC, thank you so much for spending time with me, being on the show. I wish you nothing but the best of luck. I don't think you need it.
Nah, man.
You are a perfect example of taking opportunities and just turn them into reality.
Yeah, we all need a little luck. It's hard work, but it's, it ain't nothing but work. That's all I look at. There's worse. I appreciate it. Hey, I appreciate you. You have a good rest of your day.
Support comes from the History's Train Wrecks podcast that focuses on stories like a temper tantrum that changed history, the president who promised not to run again and regretted it for the rest of his life, the World War II general who lost his pants on a secret mission in enemy territory. The History's Train Wrecks podcast, available now.
Hey everybody, hope you enjoyed the show. Help us spread the word by subscribing and leaving a review. If you want to support us even more, you can find a link to our Patreon account in the show notes. And if you're one of our diehard fans, head on over to the VikingDogStore.com, where you can find official Open Highway merchandise to show your support to the entire world. But most of all, thanks for listening.
For the highways of America, which for so many years were an assortment of as many designs and pavements as there were states, are now becoming one big road that can take you anywhere faster, safer, and more directly than ever before. What is this big road? Where is it going? How much has been built? How much is yet to come? These are questions we ask. Certainly traveling the entire system would be a memorable experience, but few of us have the time for such a trip.
Copyright Viking Dog 2022. All rights reserved. The Open Highway is a trademark of Viking Dog LLC.